Well, the Arkansas Genealogical Society is celebrating its 60th anniversary. Their annual conference is going to focus on the use of DNA in family history research. These new consumer DNA tests are making a splash not only in genealogy circles, but also in cold case investigations. It's very interesting stuff. I'm joined now by Scott Lee, who's the president of the Arkansas Genealogical Society. Thanks for being with me today.
Thank you, Alicia.
Yeah, some very interesting stuff. So how did you get involved in genealogy?
Well, I was in my 20s and I had a job offer that was going to take me out of the state of Arkansas, and so I started asking questions of older family members because I knew I would be more distant from them, and that just kind of built my interest. Being a software engineer, my first thought was, how do I record all this into a database? And it just kind of bloomed into more and more into the family research, and kind of continued pretty much all my life.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the families that have been able to find records and keep records and see all the family really get involved in that. It really kind of brings everyone together.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really great thing to see. Now, DNA testing has really added a whole new layer onto people researching their ancestry and their family history. Talk a little bit about how that's kind of changed the game.
Okay, well, so when you take a DNA test, you get basically two things. One is you get an ancestry estimate of your ethnicity. So, for example, I have a lot of Irish and English, a little bit of Scandinavian and Northern Europe. I also have just a touch of African and Asian. And so you get that kind of an estimate for yourself. You also get a list of DNA relatives. So other people that have taken the test and have shared DNA with you. So some of them may be your siblings or first cousins or aunts and uncles. Some of them may be more distant, second, third, fourth, even fifth cousins. Usually you get several hundred to maybe even a few thousand, depending on the company. That's
fascinating. I personally know of someone that found a sister that they did not know existed through doing one of those DNA tests. So it's kind of amazing to see people find family members that they didn't know about. But sometimes you can get lots of matches. How do you figure out who you're related to?
Okay, so like I said, you had hundreds to thousands of these DNA relatives, and that can be a problem. Some of them can be fairly easy to figure out if they're first cousins or siblings. That's usually not too hard, but as you get into those third, fourth, fifth cousins, it gets more and more difficult to figure out how you're related. Where is that common ancestor? It might be a great-grandparent, a great-great-grandparent, or even farther. So that's part of what the conference is about, is talking about how to deal with these problems. There's going to be talks about how to specifically deal with these distant cousins and techniques for finding them.
Wow, very interesting stuff. So yes, let's talk a little bit about the conference, because you're bringing some guests in, you're going to have people talking. What can we expect there? Okay,
so it starts Friday evening we open at 6 o'clock, and Friday evening we'll have Lindsay Heflin, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
And she's going to talk, she's from the Arkansas Crime Lab, and she's going to talk about how the crime lab uses DNA to solve cold cases. So that's one aspect of DNA. And then all day Saturday we have Diane Southern. She's a nationally known DNA expert, and she's going to have 4 different presentations on different aspects of DNA and DNA testing and how to use it in your family history, and how to deal with all those second, third, fourth, fifth cousins and how to identify them, techniques for that.
Yeah, going to be some very interesting stuff. It's over at the Benton Event Center, so if people want to come, can they get tickets? Can they just show up?
So you can register online in advance at our website, arkansasfamilyhistory.org, and you can also come at the door if you want. Just show up and register at the door.
Yeah, a whole lot of people there are interested in tracking their family down and trying to figure out their family tree. And is that the best way to do it, by doing a family tree?
Yes, generally when you start a family tree, if you've not done this before, start with yourself, work your way up to your parents, your grandparents, and write down the 3 basics as birth, death, marriage, are the 3 main events. You want to write down the date and place of those events. But that's just kind of the skeleton of your family tree. Then you want to build a full tree, flesh it out with stories, people's occupations, events in their lives. Maybe they were in a war, maybe they were in some other national events. Just kind of build out that, and so it's more than just names and dates and places.
Yeah, my grandfather has done a lot of that for us on the Dover side of our family, and it's just fascinating to see where our family comes from and to read even ancestors that you didn't even know about and see their names and their history. Well, thanks for being with us today, and
thank you,
60 years strong, so that's pretty impressive for a society.
Yes. We've been around for 60 years now, yes.
Well, thanks so much for being with us today, and make sure you sign up for that conference.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with more Good Afternoon Arkansas. First, here's what's coming up on Inside Edition.